Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, everybody.
So, guys, we're going to talk about, and we're not going to use the term Anunnaki. We want to talk about like the Nibiruans, to be more specific. Because again, Anunnaki, those from whom the heavens came, there's a lot of different beings that have come down here. There's a lot of different beings from a lot of different star systems and even different densities that have visited the Earth in the past. So let's talk specifically about those of the lineage of Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and look deeper into who exactly they are.
Very important we look into that, because then we begin to understand more and more and more about who our controllers are. I think once we understand the controlling aspect of things, we can start taking more true control over our own life.
Yeah, according to the Sumerian writings, and again, there are hundreds of thousands of them. They've been translated by thousands of different people, and they're very consistent for the most part. They give us the timeline that the Nibiruans, let's say, again, those of the lineage of Anu, Enlil, and Enki, well, they came here over 440,000 years ago the first time. And so I was having Cindy ask the guides and saying, does this feel right?
Well, yeah, because they've come here to basically take control or take advantage of these cycles. And they've simply gotten very good at it. They've gotten it down to a science. So every cycle of humanity we see, they've taken more and more control over.
And, I think if we were to term who they are, what they are, it really is, I think, fairly accurate to say that they are galactic, interdimensional pirates of sort.
That's very safe to say, because these beings, they take genetic material, they create more beings to be slaves. They do have an intergalactic trade, and it's all for their own, whatever they do, their own ability to, enjoy themselves. And they let us create all the energy they could ever need, and they let us do all the mining for all the resources they could ever handle, and they sit back and just enjoy themselves.
Yes, we've talked about before how we have found mines that are very, very ancient in Africa, specifically more towards South Africa. They way predate Homo sapiens sapiens, so somebody was here doing a lot of mining. And it's not just about mining either, that's part of it. Again, they're pirates. They're all about the loot. They're all about the bounty.
They are, definitely. And they're all about anything that benefits them, any bit of control that they can grasp, any bit of energy that they can harvest or harness. That's what they're going to do. It's all about their benefit. And it's important to remember that, because they're not looking after you. They're only looking after you just enough so that you can do what they need you to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting, again, as Cindy was saying, they harvest genetic material as well. I mean, think about like what we see in Star Wars, right? The Clone Wars. Yeah, they do clone. They also have this galactic slave trade that's going on, and they're part of it. And again, they are under the control ultimately of the Draco, which are operating on a little bit higher density. But these beings also have the ability, the Nibiruans, to go between 3D, 4D, and some of 5D.
Welcome to Louisiana.
As we are crossing into Louisiana.
Yes, welcome to Louisiana again.
Yet again, as we've been venturing throughout the southeast. And, we keep venturing because we're nomads.
It seems to be the case. I don't know, I'm getting pretty tired. I need a home.
Yeah, I did have an intuitive person I know tell me that you're going to have to stay mobile through 2024, and then you could look for a place. I'm hoping that's not the case.
I don't know. I might be dead by then.
Well, we got to do what we got to do. But yes, they do. I mean, there's millions of people that go missing every year. Look at missing 411, right? Was it more missing 411?
Yes.
Great channel, great information. Millions of people go missing every year, and there are many. I venture to say there's millions of abduction cases every year. That's my guess. I'm sure it's a very high number that would surprise so many people. There are so many times that we have had people that have had these abduction experiences, and it's all about, again, genetic material, certain lineages. There's certain traits and characteristics that they are desirous of. And we have talked about Betty Andreasen. She lived in Connecticut and was abducted back in the 60s, if I believe right. And she saw people in basically test tubes in stasis. Now, recognize also she saw little grays, and she saw what we would call Nords, or Pleiadian-looking beings as well there. And don't get fooled, so to speak, because some may put themselves to be of the Galactic Federation and benevolent Pleiadians, but actually be the Nords that we're working with, again, as I've warned so many times, the Third Reich.
Right, they're going to twist things, and they're going to put their best hand forward that's going to serve them. So that's also important to remember, that every time you're being fed a bit of information, know that it's to their benefit. It's not for our benefit. That's why it's so important to listen to the heart, and do what the heart says, not what these other beings are trying to get you to do, because trust me, it's not for your best interest.
So we were talking about cycles within cycles. And so what comes to mind is, okay, well, if the law of one is correct, and we're currently in a 75,000 year cycle, then that would mean that several of these 75,000 year cycles have happened on Earth during this 400 and something thousand years that the Nibiruans have been here. And so we asked the guides about that.
Well, there's
just hold it close.
Oh, sorry.
They might not be able to hear you.
There is a lot of different cycles. There's a lot of different things, and they do this thing over and over again, and they have this down to a science, really.
Yeah, and I hope you guys could hear it good, because I know the wind is roaring as we are traveling. So yeah, there's ascension cycles, so to speak, where we go into a higher density, and then as we're coming back down in density, they're right there to kind of recapture us.
That's when they hold us. So really, it's not so much as a battle for things on the 3D as it is a battle for your soul. We need to go onward and upward, and they're keeping people in a loop. Yeah,
and like the guides had given us, this is not their first rodeo. So if they've done this so many times, one way to keep the people, the souls, the beings, in their control is traumatic events. Again, lower vibrations through fear, through hatred, through war, all these things. So then even if you don't reincarnate here on Earth, you reincarnate somewhere else where they have the control grid.
That's really, really important to recognize also, that they know how to do this, and it's like, well, gosh, you get really tired here being on the 3D, and you're working every day, and you're scraping, and you're saving, and it's like one more thing comes up, and you have to spend all this money to get caught up, so you're behind again, and it's just about constantly spinning your tires down here on the 3D, but really what we need to be worried about is your spiritual progress. So doing what it takes to reach that spiritual that spiritual place where you can raise up in vibration, even if you have to get up early, even if you have to go lock yourself in your car, in your bathroom, to do your meditations, to do your mantras, to be still, to be a human being, not a human doing. You need to be still. Have your heart chakra open up. Heal those wounds, and the body knows how to do that as long as we're still.
The whole system that we're in is a system that they created because they know it's the perfect system to keep us in a materialistic mindset where it's all about acquiring things and even about like the ego side of things. We should stay healthy. We should stay fit. Healthy body helps keep the mind healthy. Yet at the same time, the system is set up so often to just play to our ego and, the lower self, the smaller I, not the higher self, which is what we really need to be cultivating. And so this whole monetary system is part of the trap. It's completely part of the trap. And this keeps us running on the wheel instead of actually looking around and saying, hey, there's something funny going on here.
Most definitely. So hopefully that gives you guys some clue and some ideas about why things are the way that they are. And the more we can talk about this and the more other people can recognize, well, it's because we're under control of some beings that don't like us, that only use us. It's not like they want to take care of us. No, they want to use us for their benefit. And the sooner we can understand that and just start taking care of each other, being good to each other, do the right thing. When you don't know what to do, do the next right thing. And just keep doing that and let your soul grow.
Yes, and, these beings, people had questions about saying, there was one question saying, is Enki still around? Is Enlil still around? Are they still in charge? Is Anu still in charge? What we've gotten, and I'll let Cindy share it. It's not that Enki is at some golf resort in Uranus retired.
They sort of are in a way. It's hard to explain, but they've moved on with their endeavors as well. But still, the same system stays in place.
Right, and we have checked out the being Marduk, who actually, what Cindy has gotten is he's very, very warlike. And do you want to share what you've gotten about Marduk?
Yeah, he is. He is very brutal. He's very warlike. He's not screwing around. He wants control. He's going to get control. Anything he focuses on, he's going to get, and not with, any kind of good or nice or kind intentions at all.
Right. And, there's been so many connections made that from what we have gotten are made in error. Like some people have equated Ningishita with Hermes, Mercury, and Thoth. And asking the guides that, what do they say?
I need to draw a picture. I keep getting after Mike to get me like a board because these things, they're not so easily just explained.
Well, the thing is, there's this, again, it's always like it's trying to be broken down into black or white. Pick one side, when it's not necessarily the case. A lot of these beings are really distinct to different beings. Yet, in some ways, like if we're talking about Thoth, and we're talking about Hermes Trismegistus, you're talking about an aspect of Thoth. We could almost view it as an avatar, so to speak, or a co-being in some ways coming off of an oversoul.
I think that's the best way to put it, is a co-being. That's probably the best way to explain it without drawing a picture.
Yeah, because reality is really, it's way more convoluted and confusing than most people can imagine. And just the fact that, as we've touched upon before, we are in reality composite beings, meaning that Well, we're not just one being when you get down to it. And we're all connected. And it is actually even possible that our higher self is having more than one incarnation at the same time.
Definitely, yeah. We can be in different places at the same time. That's really interesting too. And it's like you can come off of the oversoul and you can exist, and your timelines can overlap as well when it comes to past lives. It's like you can have a life in the 1970s and you can have a life now. So it really is quite interesting how this consciousness is put together.
Again, it's all fractal. It's all based on fractals. And, it can be mind-blowing to conceive of something along those lines. But I guess a good way to look at it is like your mother and father, right? When they conceived you and you were born, they didn't die. They're still there. Their consciousness is there. Yet the body is that you have comes from them, but they didn't end. They didn't stop. They're still there. It's kind of like that with consciousness as well.
Most definitely. It's really an interesting topic to get into, and it's something that people figure out, I think, well, when you're just sort of pondering, when you're just sort of talking, it starts to come together and you start to understand it.
Exactly, and so that's a good thing to meditate on. Meditate on that, because again, as above, so below.
Very, very important. Very good stuff. Hopefully we've given you guys some things to think about and some things to work on.
So thank you guys for your patience while we're on the road. I know I haven't uploaded to Brighteon or Bitchute in a week, and we will try to get caught up and get ourselves situated hopefully at some time. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We really couldn't do it without you guys. Anybody needs to reach us for an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. As always, guys, stay safe out there. We look forward to your comments, and if you want to give us suggestions on what you want to find out, what you want us to ask the guides, please do. And we could break it down and start doing videos on whatever you guys have questions about.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun if we could take more of your input. So have a good day. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.